Hey, welcome to Furry Tonight. I'm your host, BC Breakaway. Thank you so much for joining me here today on another broadcast of Furry TV. We kind of wanted to do something for the holidays, seeing as we couldn't have our traditional Christmas party that's normally held in Calgary. But hopefully you guys are enjoying what you're seeing so far, and we've got great entertainment coming up for the rest of the night as well, including the main event for our fundraising, which is where we make Val eat a whole bunch of really unpleasant things. I'm the one who went out to pick the items that will be mixed with eggnog, so if he wants to blame anybody, he can blame me. But it's all for charity. And he's got an iron stomach, so somehow he's able to. You remember what he did in the summer with the Sundays? Well, this is going to be almost worse, I would think, in some ways. So, at any rate, I have 4 great interviews lined up today. I have an interview with Paco Panda, with Manick Knux. I have an interview with Sin, and with Star Raccoon. 4 interesting people that have from different kind of things that they are into, and I wanted to be able to bring you a little bit more about them so that you could find out more, just like I did when I had a chance to get to know them a little bit more. As for tonight's show, as I mentioned, we have 4 entertaining interviews to bring you, and I'm really happy to have had a chance to talk to these 4 individuals. The interviews actually lasted about 45 minutes each. But we have to edit them down to fit 4 interviews into about an hour, so I could have just run the tape at a much faster speed, but then I think it would be very difficult to understand. So just know that we did edit a lot out. So in the meantime, we'll be back right after this with Paco Panda.
Hello everyone, it's Christine and Boomer, an Underdog alumni, and we just want to say Merry Christmas to our friends from Furry. We really do appreciate all the support that you've given us, because it allows us to rescue dogs like Boomer and provide training and foster home support and vet bills and all of that stuff. So we just wanted to say thank you, and I hope that you guys are all staying safe, and we will hopefully see you in 2021.
This is Furry TV.
Our first guest tonight is a fantastic artist, a professional panda, and quite obviously a fursuiter. So welcome, Paco.
Hey, hi. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a big
it's our pleasure. Now, you're at home, right?
Yes. This is my home.
Your panda hut, so to speak.
Yes. This is where all the magic from all the art happens here.
Where is home?
Where is home? My home is in Guadalajara, in Mexico.
So, Paco, people know you for a variety of things. Obviously, they know you as the panda that we're looking at today. They know you as an artist, and hopefully, many people know you as a good friend. So tell me, let's talk about the art part of it. That's what most people probably know you for. And you have a very distinct style. It's very happy and youthful and joyful. There's a lot of fun in your art, right? Where do you draw your inspiration? Like, were there certain artists that style that you have, was that inspired by somebody?
Well, yes, I have many inspiration sources. Probably the most basic one is Disney. I grew up with Disney. So I was very influenced by the style of the movies and the happiness that they want to show us to the world. And I don't know, many other shows, like shows on TV. I can tell you so many shows that I watched when I was a kid. Also, an important style that inspired me a lot when I was a teenager. I was playing a lot of Neopets. It was a video game on internet, and I was trying to draw all the characters, and maybe my style is very influenced in that. But I don't know, the inspiration for the theme that I want to spread to the world, maybe is the fact that I don't want to grow up. I don't want to be like a regular adult. And part of this message was inspired on Disney, but Walt Disney, not the company, but the person, that he wanted to bring some joy to the world, even not only to kids, but also to adults, that anyone can have fun and see the world in another perspective. And I wanted to do something similar with my drawings, with my message that I spread with my pictures, that there is always joy in the world.
And how long have you been drawing now?
When I took it seriously, it was until I was 16. So it was like 16 years ago. So I've been drawing seriously like half of my life.
Wow. And but this is you talk about like you don't want to grow up, but I mean this is a grown-up thing in the sense that this is your job. This is what you do, right?
Yeah, that was very accidental. Oh. So suddenly it was part of my job. It was not intentional that this was going to be the thing that was going to put food in my table. But suddenly it happened. I was trying to be, part of another job, but suddenly I was drawing, people was liking on internet, and it was my hobby, and suddenly it turned into my main source of life. I don't know.
Now, so that's great that you're able to turn a hobby that you have a passion for into your career. Had you planned to go down the path of doing this as a career, but for somebody else, like for Disney or something? Like, had you thought about doing that, or did you even do that before you decided to do this on your own?
I've done that before, and I think that was the point when I decided that this was going to be my life, because I worked for an animation studio.
Okay.
That was in 2014. And I was working for them, but then I realized that was not exactly what I was looking for. It is really great to say, oh, I'm an animator, I'm working for a company. But personally, it was not what I was looking for, because I was not giving my message working that way. It was more like being a drawing factory that I
right. I can imagine.
Yeah.
Like I can imagine how that would be, because if you go to work for somebody, unless you're the designer of that character, you're drawing that character that someone else designed, and you have to follow those designs for the most part, right? As opposed to what you're doing now, where you have freedom.
Yeah, exactly. Because only drawing was not my that was not my goal. It was giving a message, and that's something that I discovered working on this company, because I was doing something only for money.
Yeah.
To get paid, and that was all. That was not what I was looking for. Of course, my family was proud of me. My friends were telling me, "Oh, wow, you are working in an animation studio," but it was not fulfilling completely for me.
Are there certain things that you enjoy drawing more than others? Like, do you like drawing sort of like an entire scene? Do you like drawing individual characters? Like, is there something that you find that you like drawing more than others?
Yeah, of course. I love drawing full illustrations with a background where the character is involved to the background and it has a message on it. And also I can play a little bit with compositions and lights and all that kind of stuff. I enjoyed it a lot. Something that I may not enjoy at all is doing stickers, and it's probably what more people ask for. Yeah, not say that I don't enjoy it, because of course it is fun to make expressions, to make different emojis, but with a character.
Right.
It is really, really fun, but it reaches a point where it's not as fun as the other things. I mean,
right. It's limiting, right? I mean, because you're usually it's a small thing. You can't put a lot of overly detailed backgrounds and whatnot because it's a sticker. It's meant to be a single individual emoji. So, do you find that limiting? Is that the problem?
Yeah, and also it is very redundant to be working at it, because most of the time people ask for an expression over and over again, or even they show me my own stickers and they ask me to repeat that expression, or yes. Even they show me, this is very common, that they show me now on later stickers and tell me like this, please. So I don't know, it is not very rewarding after all, in my opinion.
So you did a story this year for Inktober, like a full comic strip, kind of immersive world that you created for this. And last year you did, what was it that you did last year?
Oh, it was Around the World.
Right, yes. Because I remember there was a drawing of like the in England, like it was like the guards, right? They're not allowed to smile and stuff like that. So yeah, no, I mean, what I see, like I said, in your art is that you have a lot of fun with it, which means to me that you're not just simply saying, well, okay, this guy's giving me this much money to draw something, so I'm just going to draw it because he can't draw it himself, right?
Yes, no, that's not the point.
Yeah,
that's not the point. Like, I cannot draw, but I have this scene in my mind, and I'm going to give you the task to recreate what I have in my mind. That's not what I wanted for my job. It is like those guys who send me a whole Word document, explain me absolutely everything that they want me to draw. That's not so enjoyable to me. Of course, I can do it, but it's not that enjoyable. I want to put some creativity on my mind. I also commission a lot of artists. It's not like, oh, I can draw, I cannot commission some artists. No, I'm very passionate with art, and I love how other artists do their job. So whenever I can,
who are some of those artists that you really enjoy? Other artists in the fandom that you really enjoy?
Oh, there are so many that I'm probably going to forget to mention some of them. Like Karpur and Kenrieke are two of my favorite artists. Also Orlando Fox. There is a Mexican American artist who I enjoy a lot his work. His dogs are barking. Who else? T-Dash from France. It's really good. Also Silver Fox. Silver Fox is one of my favorite artists. Yeah, I don't know. I can mention so many.
How about your own celebrity status? I mean, like I said, you're very well known as an artist. I knew your art before I knew you, personally. I mean, furry fandom is kind of unusual because we are our own celebrities, right? We don't worship an outside person typically. We worship people within. Worship is maybe a strong word, but we appreciate the people within our own fandom as our celebrities. So because you kind of have that going for yourself, do you find that kind of sometimes makes you feel, how does it make you feel? Like, does it make you feel sometimes isolated? Does it make you feel sometimes, you mentioned you're shy around other people that you admire. Do you feel that people sometimes may be shy with you, or how do you feel about that?
It is very tough for me that I'm considered a celebrity in the fandom, because I don't consider myself like that. I consider myself like only one more furry, that I go to a convention and I'm just one of all of them. I appreciate that it is only happening in the fandom, in the community, because I can go to the store outside my house and nothing happens. Like there are not paparazzis following me, so I appreciate that, because it is kind of overwhelming for me be like this in the fandom, and it was not something that I was looking for. I didn't join the fandom with the goal of wanting to be famous in the community. No, that's something that suddenly happened, and it was very difficult for me because I'm a very shy person. I'm a very quiet person. I don't talk a lot. I was always the guy in the corner in the parties that don't talk with anyone. That was me.
As someone who has been successful at doing art as a living, do you have advice, any sort of advice or suggestions for those just starting out or wanting to get into art as a career?
Well, yes, of course. The main advice that I can give you is be yourself. Don't allow to other people to tell you what to do, what to not do. Art is expressing yourself, giving your message that you have in your soul. So it is something that belongs completely to you. And being that honest with the people, showing exactly what you want to show, people unconsciously is going to realize that you are being honest. And that's something that they notice. They are telling you, this person, this artist is doing great things, not because they are having great style or great technique, or it's having a poor technique even, but they realize that they are having something to tell. Their work is having a soul.
I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. Okay. Favorite city?
Stockholm.
Favorite con?
Nordic Fusken.
Favorite food?
Lasagna.
Favorite place to visit for a holiday?
Texcoco.
Where was that?
Texcoco. That's in Mexico.
Okay. What's your favorite movie?
Ratatouille.
What's your favorite cartoon?
Tiny Toons.
Your favorite Canadian?
My favorite Canadian?
Yes, your favorite Canadian.
You, BC Breakaway.
There you go. That's the right answer. That's the right answer. Well, anyway, Paco, like I said, this has been really fun. I'm glad you were able to take some time to join us for this today. And I'm sure that you'll be seen at, hopefully when cons come back, you'll be seen at many cons, and we'll get to hang out as well.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So anyway, thank you very much, everybody. This is Paco Panda. Welcome back, everybody. I'm now pleased to introduce our next guest. He is the chairperson of the Western Pennsylvania Furry Weekend, a fantastic singer and a cat. Please welcome Manick. Hey, Manick.
Hello. Pleasure.
How you doing?
Doing all right. I'm still kind of... I woke up a little late today. I'm a little tired.
Are you not a morning person?
It all depends. I can enjoy my mornings, but last night I was up a little too late. But that's on me.
I noticed that a couple times. I mean, we're in a group chat together, and there's been times where you're responding in your East Coast time, so you're responding at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm going, what are you still doing up?
I don't know. At the time, I don't know. I'm just enjoying something or watching something, or sometimes I'm on VR. Until the wee hours of the morning, but I need to get the bed.
Right. I noticed you have a number of different headsets and whatnot on beside you, and you told me just before we got on here that one of them is a VR headset. Mm-hmm. What are you doing in VR? Like, I have not tried it, so what do you think of it?
I quite enjoy it. Mostly what I do is enjoy VR chat. It's a very expensive way to be social, in all frankness. But with COVID going on, it's very useful, and it's a good approximation of being social with other people in a way.
I mean, when you say it's an expensive way of doing it, is that because of the gear, or do you mean there's other things?
The gear. VR chat itself is free, and anybody can get on it. That's the beauty of VR chat is anybody can get on it, even on desktop mode. You don't need to have a VR headset to be on it, so it's free. So having the headset and having the equipment is a very expensive way to experience something that is free. It's just so.
Yes, that could be said for a lot of things. So meanwhile, speaking of our little chat group, I believe that when this airs, the Christmas sing-along show will not have aired yet, and I'm so excited for people to see that because of all the different performances we got on the Christmas sing-along. I have to say that when, because I got the pleasure of editing it all together and all that, but when we heard performance, we were blown away. Like the performance that you did of the Christmas song is phenomenal. So I can't wait for people to see it.
Thank you. I mean that sincerely. Like I do think that that's probably one of my better recordings. So I do very much appreciate that. And the reaction was not what I expected. So thank you.
Are you someone that's I mean, like I said, we were like not surprised. I mean, we knew you could sing, but we were just so pleased with the performance when we heard it of your upcoming Christmas sing-along song. And one of the things that I know sometimes happens is, people put something out there and they don't get the response that they either think it deserves or that they're looking for. They don't get the reaction in a positive sense that they're looking for. Are you someone that's bothered by that? Like, I mean, do you get upset about, I put this out on Twitter and nobody cares? Like,
oh, sure. I think that's natural for anybody who likes attention, who likes the affection that comes with putting things out there, especially when it's something of a real passion for somebody, and this really is a passion for me. It means a lot that anybody responds, frankly. Like, as much as you get discouraged if there's none, even though you try not to, you still get that. But you still get that same high from people who do encourage you or do say something. So it is very nice. And like, just as you were saying, you never know when things are going to go viral. I've done the dumbest things, and that has taken off in ways that I didn't expect.
I mean, one of the things I was coming up with a list of things I wanted to ask you about, and the ridiculousness of being in a giant balloon had to be part of what I asked you about. And I did find out where that came from. For those of you who have not seen it, you may have seen Manick in suit in a giant, usually it's yellow, right? Yellow.
It all depends on the moment.
Okay.
But yeah, yellow is very common.
I don't even know where you get things like that or how you get into one. But yes, this is Manick the Balloon Cat. Where did this come from?
In all fairness, it came from many years ago. I remember seeing a video. This was during like the beginning of the YouTube heyday. It wasn't anything too crazy. But I remember seeing a video of a guy getting in a balloon that is enormous and sticking his head out the top, and the people around him just laughing hysterically. There's no context for what is going on other than the fact that he was getting into a big balloon and he was just acting the fool the whole time, and everybody was cracking up. And that video, for some reason, stuck with me for so long. And then many years later, I was like, I wonder if I can do this in suit. And it was just a whim. It was just let's do this because I found it funny. And I got in it. And I have received it's probably the one thing that I'm known for the most at this point is people seeing me in a stupid giant balloon.
All right, we'll be back with more with Manick right after this. Welcome back to the show. We're talking with Manick Knux. And Manick, you are the chairperson of WPAFW.
That's correct.
West Pennsylvania Furry Weekend. I always try to. How do you say? Can you say it as a word? Whoopafa?
Sure. Whoopafa or whoopafa. Yeah, we rather enjoy the fact that people can't pronounce it. It's a meme of sorts for the event. So
yes, it's probably the most complicated furry convention name that I can think of. But so tell me about that event. I know obviously there wasn't one this year due to COVID. When is it normally held?
Normally it's held in the first weekend of October every year.
Okay.
And it started out as, like most cons, it started out as a barbecue, a furrbecue, so to speak. It turned into a bigger event, and then it became Western PA Furry Weekend. And it's been going on. The Furrbecue started in early 2000s. This has been going on now. I think we're coming up on the 20th anniversary. Don't quote me on a specific date, but it's been going on for 20 years. Wow. Since its inception. At least we're getting close to that. We might be at like 18, 19 years, but it's getting very close to that. And the event is, while we call it a con, it's more of an event that's a little bit different because it's a little different than most conventions, as it's not really a convention by the standards of what we know as conventions today. It's held in a large lodge out in a county park. So it's a 2-floor lodge, and then there's a lot to do outside the lodge. The actual plot is a very large plot of land that people can just roam around on. We cook for everybody, and we have a bar that we set up for the event. It's a big wooden structure that we set up for the event, and so anybody who comes as a sponsor, you get unlimited access to local beer and cider and mead, as well as local soda. So we try to do craft brewing, craft sodas, craft mead, and craft cider. And we have a chef who cooks everything from scratch for everybody. It is to support a local animal charity, of course, or a charity of sorts. We like helping the smaller ones because they oftentimes never receive the money that we are able to raise for them in 2 days, in our 3 days. Sorry.
Who was your charity like the last year?
It was a charity called TSAO. Apparently we have acronym problems here.
Yes. Just pick them. You just looked in the phone book. So this one is impossible to say, just like ours. So let's just choose that one.
The Awesome Spirit of Wildlife. It is an organization that does rescue work and reptiles and amphibians, but they are also working with birds. So they bring in they're a rescue organization for mostly reptiles, and it's a very interesting organization, and they're based about an hour away from Pittsburgh in a place called Slippery Rock, PA. And I believe the first year we had them was about $12,700 in the mid-20s of donation per person.
So I want to ask you about one other thing. Now you do have a passion for old vehicles, right?
I guess to say, especially with vehicles and whatnot, I have an affinity for vehicles that may have not been popular or don't hold the the power over the public. Like say, for example, a lot of people love Mustangs. A lot of people love muscle cars. They're fine. They're great. I love them for what they are. But for me, my passion falls into the cars that were oftentimes forgotten, for better or for worse. They weren't bad or they weren't good. They were just forgotten. And I love seeing them on the road because they're usually so rare to see on the road. People go, I remember that. Or what is that? And I love that conversation. That is actually those are some of my favorite conversations to have. What is that? Or I remember that, because you get these stories or you get these questions that just, you learn more about people in what they ask a lot of times and what they want to say just through natural like curiosity than any other way. And I love it.
Be sure to catch Manick with his rendition of the Christmas song with a bunch of friends. I was that really surprised me when he sent me the video. It's like, oh, well, look, I know these people, or I know some of them anyway. And that was really cute. So make sure you watch that tonight on the Furry Holiday Sing-Along. And thank you, Manick. I hope you have a great Christmas, and we'll talk to you soon.
Just to clarify, these are people that see each other all the time. Like, it is a pod. So
we call it our cohort or our bubble.
Yes, it is their bubble. This is a very large, not a large bubble, but it's a small bubble that actually sees each other all the time. So don't worry about people coming together.
Exactly. All right, we'll be back after this.
Thank you, BC.
All donations go to help dogs like Walter. Right, buddy? Say please. Good boy.
On the day that I'm recording this, I found out that somebody that I didn't know particularly well, but someone that I had met in person and had communicated online a few times, had died in a car accident. At least that's what was reported. He was, I think he was in, I know he had bought a home in Nevada, though it looks like his death certificate says that his death happened in Iowa. He was a long-haul trucker, so it's entirely possible that he was on the road at the time. I wouldn't have even found out if it wasn't for the fact that someone had posted about the fact that that his fursuit, which he had only had for a short time after waiting about 3 years for it, from what I understand, was going to be auctioned off in an effort to save it from going to just sort of a general auction that someone might just not really appreciate what it is that they're getting. So this person took it upon themselves, who was connected to the person who's looking after the estate, to try to auction it. And I think the auction will be successful. It will have been concluded by the time this airs. But it was kind of sad to think that this individual, who, you know, was a bit of a loner, not necessarily by choice. Part of it was his job. Part of it was the fact that he was a bit of an older gentleman, newer to the furry fandom, and I don't know that he ever really had a lot of connections in furry, and I guess that's the sad part. I think it's always difficult. People come into something like furry looking for a sense of belonging, and I don't know that they always find it. And it's just one of those things where we kind of take for granted that you know, we may have a situation that allows us to have a lot of friends, have a lot of connections, but not everybody necessarily has that. So I hope that Electro Wolf, or Argus, is resting peacefully somewhere. He had also been diagnosed with leukemia back in April, and I had asked him about it a little bit back then, and it was quite new diagnosis-wise, so he wasn't sure what was happening, but it sounds like this accident happened not that long after his diagnosis. So it's obviously sad, and I hope that if anybody takes anything away from this story, is that reach out to people that maybe even the ones that you don't reach out to all the time, because you never know when it will be impossible to do so in the future. All right, welcome back, everybody. I'm here now with our next guest, Sin. So thanks for coming on the show today. One of the things that I've noticed recently is that you kind of, your focus on Twitter, social media, has changed. I know that for a while you were very sort of, you had a YouTube channel that really talked a lot about sports, right?
Yep.
And that's kind of morphed, or you're morphing it into something else. So tell me a little bit about what direction it is that you're going with your social media and your YouTube channel.
So as a old content creator, I was making sports content based off of generally football. People who don't know the type of football that I'm talking about, it's the American style, but my passion for it just kind of died out. And ever since the pandemic really started, I've taken up a passion for everybody's like, well, 2020 is not my year. Well, it's still my year. Everybody's going through the same stuff, So instead of just quitting, I decided to ramp up my nutrition, and then more so going down the line, I just found out more things that I could do in the kitchen instead of just going out, and it's easy to just order Domino's or something like that. Why don't you just, I find it more rewarding to eat things that I love and find it in a healthier manner. And that kind of just took on its own animal, if you will. And I've gotten a big passion for cooking and nutrition. And I kind of want to share that experience with the world, really, when I relaunch my YouTube channel.
So with that in mind, you've posted a lot of what you're doing appears to be kind of experimentation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's not like you're just going to YouTube, someone else's YouTube channel, finding a recipe that you like and then just copying it. Like you're actually experimenting with things and looking at it from a nutritional value perspective, obviously taste perspective, how easy it is to make it. So can you tell me some of the recipes that you've actually done?
So I grow a lot of my inspiration by sometimes I'll just go to the grocery store anymore and I won't even buy stuff. I'll just literally look and see what I can grow inspiration off of, especially something like my protein ice cream recipes. I'll go down the ice cream aisle and everybody knows whose favorite ice creams are. They got Ben and Jerry's, Blue Bunny, a couple of others out there. I'll look at those ice cream containers and I'll be like, I could make that myself. And so when I get home, I have an ice cream maker in my kitchen. And one of the big things that I've been doing is just taking whatever I see in the grocery store and just making it myself and trying to find recipe or ingredients for the recipe that will make it lower in calories and make it more filling. So a perfect example is you see a pint of Ben and Jerry's, it's this big, and about a pint is 1,200 to 1,300 calories. Mm-hmm. My ice cream for the same thing would be generally around under 500, more protein and more filling. So you're going to get full after just eating that giant cup of ice cream. It's not just what some of my friends call schmuck servings, but that you actually get full off that and you actually feel satisfied, and you don't feel guilty after eating it.
But what do you replace? What do you take? Obviously ice cream is made with
milk,
cream.
So
it's high fat, so high calorie, high fat. So what do you take out of it and replace it with? That works.
Generally, my ice cream recipes, if, for example, one of my favorite ones to make is an apple cinnamon protein blizzard ice cream. So what I do is I take protein powder. I usually find the flavor of the protein powder to be the big thing. So there's an apple cinnamon protein powder that I have to look for specifically. And then I take maybe a dash of cinnamon for extra flavor, some stevia instead of sugar, cashew milk or almond milk instead of regular whole fat milk, because that takes off about 80 to 90% of the calories right there just from one serving. And ice and a thing called guar gum. It helps thicken it up and it makes it like that consistency that you're looking for. And you blend it until it becomes kind of like an ice cream consistency. It can take maybe a minute, can maybe take 2 minutes, depending on, you know, how thick you're really looking at for it to get. And sometimes it also depends on your blender. So you can't go cheap on a blender, honestly.
Okay, we'll be back with more with Sin in just a few moments. Thanks for watching, everybody. Welcome back. We're talking to Sin. What kind of advice do you have for people that are looking at trying to find a way to kickstart their fitness regimen and things? Like, is there something that they could? I mean, a lot of people think they can't do it, right? I mean,
yeah.
I doubted that I could even do keto, for example, because I just love eating bread and rice and pasta and all this stuff, right? Like, I love carbs, and I think it's one of the things that we do, right?
Yeah.
So what can you recommend to people that are saying, well, you know, I want to do something, I need to do something. What kind of advice do you have for them?
The big thing I think is just finding what your caloric maintenance is. For me, for example, if I was to sit on my butt all day, my caloric intake would be around 2,280 calories. And so use that as your baseline. And if you are, depending on what your lifestyle is, whether you're active or sedentary, find out what that caloric maintenance is. And if you're trying to lose weight, subtract that caloric maintenance by 500. And then that's, in theory, should help you lose 1 pound a week. And then making sure that you're staying away from processed sugars. So if you look at a label and see, you know, all this added sugar and no other added benefits, like if you, and I hate picking on Addie for this, but eating Oreos,
right?
They ain't gonna do nothing for you, man. So trying to stay away from the processed sugars, because that's what's gonna get that insulin back. It's gonna raise your insulin sensitivities. That's what makes people overweight. And making sure that you get enough protein in your diet, eating lean meats, or finding healthier options. Because as much as we say we like enjoying our pasta, I myself today am making macaroni and cheese later, homemade macaroni and cheese. And the big thing that I've found is the noodles are the big thing. So I don't buy regular noodles. I buy things like chickpea noodles. Those have 23 grams of protein in one serving. Okay. And I make the cheese myself. I use like cream cheese. I use cheddar cheese. I use cashew milk, and you mix it all together, and you got your own cheese. And it's going to be better for you. And if you if you portion it out and you mix it right, you could make it healthier for you.
There are some people for which physical activity is a challenge, or they just don't want to do it. They can still benefit from some of the things that you're talking about as far as nutrition and what they eat versus, you know, the stuff that they eat now, which are relatively simple changes if it's a matter of, again, not feeling like you're losing something, right? Like, you know what, I mean, turkey pepperoni sounds pretty good to me instead of regular pepperoni, right? Like, there's got to be things that I would think that people that are unable or unwilling in one way or another to do a lot of physical activity can still benefit from the stuff that you're talking about.
That's a perfect example. My roommates are a perfect example of sedentary lifestyle, and they've lost weight. And it's, like I said, it's calories in, calories out, getting protein, staying away from processed sugar. And I think my roommate Joe, he started at 250. He's down to like 206.
Wow. Okay.
And he sits in his office all day because he works from home. Can't really do anything anyway, but he lost that much weight so far since quarantine. And I think his now wife has also lost about a little bit more weight. And she's just as sedentary as, you know, they're both sedentary.
Okay, well, you and your husband and everybody, hopefully you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great holiday for what it is this year. And hopefully we'll see you at MFF next year.
I hope so too, and I hope there's other cons that I can see everybody at as well. I can't wait because I miss everybody, man. I miss them.
Yeah, I know. I miss him too.
So,
all right, everybody, this is Sin. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back after this.
Hi, I'm Canyon McGuffin.
And I'm Marlo. And we're the Hockey Bros.
I make saves on the ice, but you can help save the dogs at Underdog Rescue.
Underdogs Rescue is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to rescuing power breeds such as pit bulls and Rottweilers from shelters across Canada.
Let's do our part and donate what we can to help these dogs find a new forever home.
Just go to underdogsrescue.com and click that donate button.
Welcome back, everybody. My next guest is the co-host of the Radio Rabbithole show, has his own YouTube channel, and is a cartoon historian. So everybody say hello to Star Raccoon. Hey, Star.
Hello. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking.
Excellent, excellent. So thank you for being on the show. We've talked a lot since the summer, mainly because you've been doing a lot of work for Furry. Well, for me, for Furry. And you've never been to Furry. You've never been up this way, as far as I know. But you've become sort of one of our main contributors over the last little while, and all of that is people have heard your voice. You've done voices for various characters for us, and I get a kick out of hearing them all the time. Where did you why are you so good at doing voices, or what is it that kind of led you to doing a lot of voices and things?
I think what got me interested in doing voices was I've always just kind of been the guy that makes the beep boop sounds at the back of the room, and I tend to mimic people readily in mocking and in just mimicry. And when the opportunity arose, I think I read it somewhere on Telegram that you were looking for people that could step in and provide a voice. And I said, well, yeah, sure, why not? I'll try it out. And you seem to like one of the voices that I did for Sam. And Sam's one of my favorite characters to play for you, by the way. He's a lot of fun. So I think that's what got me, just that I wanted just to try it. And I've always had an elastic voice, or that's what we would call, that's what I call it, just an elastic voice, the ability to mimic.
Well, I think one of the interesting things about doing, I can't do voices. They all ultimately sound like me, right? Whereas I notice that what it seems to be when people that can do voice acting, when they can do it, the big difference is that they can actually sound like different people.
Well, it's also the mindset. What you're hearing is you're hearing yourself. When I hear me recorded, I'm hearing myself. I can easily distinguish my voice from if I'm doing any character, if I'm doing any kind of affect, if I'm doing any kind of accent. I immediately just hear my voice. And what I believe is people sometimes don't think they can do voices when they really can. They just need to learn how to unhear themselves.
Okay, that's a good point, because that's the thing. I did the voice for Pip. Originally, I was going to ask you to do it, and then you said, "Well, no, just do your voice, but pitch it up a little bit." And I tried it, and I didn't hate it. So
I like how you did Pip. Pip played very well. You did great on him.
Well, there you go. Thank you. That was part of the news program. So it was kind of like I had to be a newsreader, but I had to also be a tiny dog. So how do you blend those things?
So you just go to YouTube and search Star Raccoon, and you can put the link down below. I'm very fond of saying that, links down below. It's just a YouTube channel that I've done in favor of my character, Star Raccoon. I do certain things, like I do something called Ask a Raccoon, where people can write questions and I answer them in the guise of a raccoon. So if someone says, Did you go through my garbage last night? I'll say, yeah, and let's talk about what I found in your garbage. I'm a little concerned about your health. And just trying to make it a little bit funny like that. I do something called Forgotten Theater. I'm starting to do more of those, which are the TV shows that maybe you and I, and well as the audience that's watching us right now, saw when they were younger. So it's those things like one of my favorite television shows as a young child. Well, two of them, in fact, are Canadian. The Care Bears, done by Nelvana.
Right.
If you look at Star Raccoon and if you look at Brightheart Raccoon, he's my furry dad. And the other is The Raccoons that was produced in Canada.
Okay, yep.
So
apparently Canadians, we have a thing for raccoons. That's.
I hear that Toronto definitely loves their raccoon population.
Yes.
So I think I honor those things that have come from the past that have inspired the furries of today. So there's a little bit of Brightheart Raccoon in my character. There's a little bit of Burt Raccoon in my character. There's a little bit of all these characters that have made us furry. I do things like Raccoon on Film where I talk about the newer stuff like Beastars, or I talk about other things that aren't furry, things that are still interesting, but aren't necessarily furry, like Japan's The Bubblegum Crisis. It's on an anime that was produced in the 1980s.
What do you think about sort of what makes today's furries of what? I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily media that brings new furries in, or do you think it's just furries gotten to a point where as a subculture just brings people in organically?
I'd say organically bringing people in. It's an interesting subculture. It's an incredibly diverse and populated fandom, for lack of a better term. It's a full-on fledged, how many groups we're right up there with Star Trek. We're right up there with Star Wars. We have our own version of the 501st. We have our own version of Starfleet. But now I get to be myself. And I think to many of the younger furries that have seen maybe cartoons and have been inspired by them, they're coming to the fandom because this is where they can be themselves. They can step out of that uncomfortable bubble. They know that they aren't alone. I mean, when you and I don't know how old you are, but I'm looking at the front side of 40 now. When I was younger, there was no club for me to go hang out downtown where I lived, put on a costume and, try to be myself. So now we have those opportunities, and I'm very grateful to our younger fans that are coming in, to the people that are keeping the fandom alive. Unless you are able to bring in new people and continue to generate interest, we're bound to fail. We're bound to ride off into the sunset at some point, you and I.
I want to know more about this Radio Rabbithole show. Your co-host is Romeo Rabbit. Is he the rabbit that's referred to in the name of the show?
Yes. Romeo started the Rabbit Hole just over 10 years ago as furry internet broadcasting following the Fun Day Paw Pet show. And it was the idea of having furry-generated interest in a radio format. So when he started the Rabbit Hole, it was to highlight furry artists, furry DJs, furry musicians, furry performers that may not have gotten the exposure or the outlet that maybe, everyone else is afforded.
Do you find that as the fandom has gotten so much bigger and there are a lot more opportunities for people to create their own content and put it out there in, myriad ways, do you find that the Rabbit Hole show is more relevant now, or is it more, without making it sound like it's bad, or do you think it's somewhat less relevant?
I think we are as relevant as when we started, because while there is more and more content being produced, there's still ever only going to be one Radio Rabbit Hole. And that's the nice thing about it. When you come to the rabbit hole now, we've moved away from just music. Now we are furry conversation. Now we are furry music. Now we are doing more and more interviews, and we're able to generate that interest. So we're hoping that many people continue to come to the rabbit hole for another 10 years, or until Romeo decides to throw in the towel and hang up the carrot.
You're in Florida, so Megaplex is obviously the con that's closest to you. What other cons do you typically go to?
I'll go to FWA in Atlanta, Furry Weekend Atlanta. That's about 6 hours driving distance for me. And I have friends and family up in Atlanta that I go visit, so I'm able to go up there a little bit early. You'll be able to typically find me at Midwest Fur Fest, you know. I love Chicago. Now, this is going to sound weird for you. I saw snow for the first time in my life on in the end of November 2018.
I mean, you've never seen snow in person. I mean, you knew the
concept. I know it exists.
You've kind of
I've heard about it.
That, you know, water, cold, falls, it's white. You kind of figure, you just never saw it in person.
I've never had a snowball fight in my whole life, which I have a funny story behind that, because the first time I got to have one, I got racked right where you don't want to get racked. I'd never done a snow angel. I'd never made a snowman. I still haven't. I'd never seen snow drifts. I'd never slipped in.
We've talked to each other so much just in regards to the voicing, the voice acting stuff, that it was nice to actually just get a chance to chat with you and find out more about you and stuff. And I'm hoping that when cons do go back to normal, I will get to meet you and spend a little time with you somewhere down the line. I don't know where that is, but
at some point I owe you a beer, man. I'll buy you a beer.
Root beer for me.
Root beer works.
All right, perfect. So again, thanks for doing this, and we hope that you stay safe, have a good holiday, and I'm sure we'll have some more work for you in the future.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. You have a great night.
Well, that's our show for tonight. I want to again thank our guests, Paco Panda, Manick Knux, Sin, and Star Raccoon, for giving us some of their time so we put this show together. I want to thank all of you for continuing to support Furry and Furry Tonight and tuning in to watch this broadcast. We'll be back with you as soon as we can in person, and at that time, hopefully, we'll be able to give each other hugs and everything. If you're someone that would like to potentially be interviewed for a future edition of Furry Tonight, feel free to message me. I'm at bcbreakaway on Twitter, Telegram, and I'm always looking for people that have a story to tell that our viewers might want to see. In the meantime, have a safe and happy holiday season. Be healthy, everybody, and we'll see you next time.